My phone buzzed while I was debugging code in my Seattle apartment, but the email from Laura Bennett stopped me cold. Noah, someone's renting out your lake house. Strangers have been coming and going every few days. Attached was a link to a rental listing with photos of my property, my furniture, my dock, even a picture of me fishing, captioned, "The owner's fishing tips come free." It was a shot I'd posted on social media years ago, now stolen to market my family sanctuary. The listing, charging $250 a night, had dozens of five-star reviews. My blood boiled as I scrolled, spotting a woman's wrist in one photo, wearing a shiny Rolex watch, and designer bags casually scattered in another. Someone was turning my lake house into their personal cash machine. I had visited Crystal Lake Estates since inheriting the property from my Uncle George 6 months ago, but that house was my heart. Orphaned young, I'd spent summers there with him, learning to sail, watching sunsets over Crystal Lake. Now, someone was profiting off my memories. I booked a flight to Montana, determined to catch the thief. Crystal Lake Estates sparkled under the mountain sun, its neat lawns and shimmering lake unchanged since my childhood. I drove to Laura's, a retired librarian close with my uncle. Her worried frown confirmed the worst. "Noah, it's Diane Larson, the HOA president," she whispered. "She's been bringing renters to your house for months, saying you gave her permission to manage it." Laura leaned closer. I heard her dodging a debt collector on the phone. Her fancy lifestyle? It's all fake. Diane, I learned, had set strict HOA rules in my absence. Windows open past 45 degrees, no boating after 7 p.m., enforced with heavy fines. Worse, she held keys to every home under an emergency access policy. My anger surged, but confronting her directly would tip her off. I needed proof. In my rental car, I studied the listing. The account, Crystal Lake Luxury Retreats, wasn't in any business registry. One photo caught my eye, a framed picture in my uncle's study, barely visible, showing a younger George with a woman by the lake. She looked oddly familiar. I called my college friend, Jason Reed, a real estate lawyer. "Jason, book this place for tomorrow night under your name," I said, explaining the scam. Diane might recognize mine. That night, I parked across from my house, watching lights flicker on. A sleek Mercedes pulled up, and out stepped a woman in her 50s, perfectly dressed, followed by a driver with designer bags. Diane Larson, no doubt. My hidden security cameras, installed when I inherited the place, were still active under surveillance signs she ignored. Tomorrow, I'd check in as a guest in my own home, and Diane would face justice. The next evening, I stood at my doorstep, heart racing, posing as Nathan Reed with Jason's ID. A nervous guy in his late 20s answered. "I'm Caleb, the property assistant," he said, his eyes familiar in a way I couldn't place. The house felt like a twisted memory, furniture rearranged, family photos hidden, new decor clashing with George's style. Caleb's tour was stiff, his unease growing when I praised the owner's taste. "He's, never here," he mumbled. "My mom handles everything." Before I could dig deeper, Diane swept in, all polished charm, her Rolex gleaming. "Mr. Reed, I'm Diane Larson, manager for Noah Hayes," she said, her smile icy. "Noah trusts me completely with his lovely home." I shook her hand, hiding my fury as she spun lies about dear friend Noah being too busy in Washington to visit. Each lie fueled my resolve. In the living room, I froze. On the mantel was a framed photo of my parents and uncle, a keepsake I'd placed in the study. Diane had repurposed it as decor. "The owner's family looks lovely," I said, voice tight. "Such a shame about his parents," she replied lightly. "His uncle raised him well, but Noah's too busy for this place, so I manage it for everyone's benefit." Her casual theft of my life story made my fists clench. I confirmed my cameras were recording, their signs half hidden by her decorations. Diane handed me a list of HOA rules while I secretly recorded her. When she left for an HOA emergency, Caleb lingered, looking guilty. "My mom needs the money," he admitted softly. "Medical bills, debts." His glance at the family photo carried a strange weight. Alone, I searched the study. My uncle's safe had been pried open, its documents replaced with HOA papers bearing my forged signature. Diane wasn't just renting my house. She was forging my authority to manipulate HOA funds. I called Jason. She's forging my name on official documents. This is fraud. He urged me to gather more evidence. Behind a desk, I found an unopened letter from George telling my son the truth.
A chill hit me.
Then Caleb texted, "Mom's bringing an investor tomorrow. She's planning to sell the house." The stakes soared. I checked my cameras, ensuring they'd catch Diane's next move. She thought she was hosting a guest. She had no idea who she'd let into her trap. Morning light gleamed off Crystal Lake as I sipped coffee on the deck, posing as a carefree renter. Sophie Clark, a novelist in the guest suite, joined me. Diane charged me $150 for excessive water use because I took a bath, she scoffed. Is that legal? She'd also seen Diane touring a suited man through the house at midnight, whispering about lakefront potential. Caleb's warning was real. I met Laura at a cafe, where she handed me a notebook detailing Diane's HOA abuses, random fines, unvoted rule changes, and suspected embezzlement. She's renting out the Johnsons' and Pattison's homes, too, Laura revealed. Their owners were abroad. The scheme was huge. Jason arrived, confirming the crimes: forgery, fraud, trespassing. "We need to expose her carefully," he said. A text from Caleb warned Diane was 30 minutes away with her investor. I rushed back. In the study, I found a crumpled receipt showing Diane used HOA funds for a $5,000 handbag. Before I could snap a photo, Diane's voice echoed at the door. I pocketed the receipt and lounged in the living room. She entered with Caleb and a stern man in a suit, introduced as Edward Vance, maintenance specialist. His sharp gaze screamed real estate shark. Diane whispered to him, "The owner's desperate to sell, overseas, and I'm authorized." Edward mused about a $700,000 offer, half the property's $1.2 million value. My patience snapped. "The owner's not overseas," I said, stepping forward. "I'm Noah Hayes, and you're trespassing." Diane's face went pale. "This is ridiculous," she stammered, showing forged papers. "I have Noah's signature." I showed my ID. "I booked my own house to catch you." Edward, flustered, handed me his card and left. Diane called the police, claiming I was an intruder. As we waited, I set up my laptop, showing camera footage of Diane's unauthorized entries and tours. When officers arrived, she played the victim, flashing forged documents. I countered with my deed and videos, pointing to the surveillance signs. Caleb stayed silent, his loyalty wavering. The police called it a civil matter, but confirmed my ownership, warning against lock changes. Diane whispered to an officer, hinting at local pull. After they left, my cameras went offline and I found the locks changed. Through the window, I saw Diane and Caleb rifling through papers. The police were hours away, so I called Jason. "She's destroying evidence," he warned. A text from Edward arrived. "Diane says you're mentally unstable. Are you the owner?" Diane was spinning lies to discredit me. Caleb emerged, and I confronted him. "You know this is wrong," I said. He hesitated. "She's drowning in medical bills, failed investments. She's desperate." Diane appeared with an HOA lawyer, thrusting a notice claiming $15,000 in fines and restrictions for structural issues. Jason exposed the violations as backdated. "You're making up lies because I caught you," I said. Her facade cracked. "You abandoned this place, lowering our property values," she spat. "I was helping the community." Neighbors gathered, sensing drama. Diane retreated, locking me out again. At a hotel, Jason and I planned our counterattack. My security company confirmed the cameras were sabotaged. A letter slid under my door claimed a lien on my property. A leaked structural report from Caleb, dated hours earlier, exposed Diane's fraud, implicating HOA board members. Diane's smear campaign hit next. Emails to neighbors called me an unstable squatter. But Jason found the HOA's real covenants didn't support her powers. At a cafe, Caleb met me, guilt-ridden. "I can't keep lying," he said, handing over records of Diane's $200,000 HOA embezzlement and plans to sell my house for a kickback. Then he dropped a bombshell, a letter from George suggesting he was Caleb's father, a secret from a bitter romance with Diane. She hated him for rejecting her, Caleb said. That's why she's targeting you. He warned of an emergency HOA meeting to foreclose on my property and gave me a backdoor key. We rallied residents, preparing to crash the meeting. Using Caleb's key, we retrieved my laptop and found a half-wound cassette tape. It held George's voice confessing Caleb's paternity and Diane's deceit. Doubt crept in, exposing her might-heir family secrets, but Jason reminded me, George wanted you to have this home. The HOA meeting was chaos. Diane relocated it to exclude me, but Laura live-streamed it. Diane pushed a $15,000 lien, painting me as negligent. Laura interrupted, projecting evidence of Diane's fraud. Caleb, unknowingly, had linked Diane's phone to stream her incriminating emails, exposing her schemes. I joined via video, showing footage of her crimes. Diane stole $15,000 renting my house, forged my signature, and tried to sell it, I said. Residents erupted. Diane snapped, I protected your property values. Her rant lost her allies. A vote removed her from the board, and police arrived to investigate. Diane played her final card, a second while giving the HOA half my house. Noah's not the sole owner, she smirked. The room froze. Jason challenged the document's validity. It wasn't probated. The cassette tape confirmed George's distrust of Diane, and we tracked down the notary, Ellen Foster, who admitted forging it under Diane's threats. Diane was arrested fleeing town with cash and documents, facing fraud and embezzlement charges. In court, she blamed George's rejection, but the judge ordered restitution. The HOA reformed under new leadership and I restored my home, splitting time between coasts. Caleb, my newfound cousin, and I bonded, sharing George's memories. At a lakeside party, I hung George's photo with a plaque, "Some come to reclaim truth." A sign by the driveway read, "Not for sale." Diane's greed united a community and revealed family I never knew. The lake house wasn't just property, it was home, truth, and justice.